Do I love them enough and shouldn't I be feeling more are very scary questions and thoughts, right? When you have those, you can feel a lot of fear, anxiety, because what if you don't feel enough? Does that mean I have to break up? No, it doesn't, because these questions are actually a fear response, and I'm going to tell you all about it and explain why that is. But first of all, these questions are actually very common doubt questions. It is something we still don't talk enough about, but you are not the only one that has these thoughts and has these questions. I had them so many times, and I am now married to the same guy I had these thoughts about. I really thought I didn't love him enough, and now we're married and we have two babies, and I'm really, really happy. So it is very common, and you can get out of it. But let's dive into this. What if you don't feel enough? What does that mean? Does that mean you don't love them? Does that mean that this is the wrong choice? Actually, not really feeling enough is it can come from so many factors. Has to do with so many factors. So feelings, this is very important to understand. Feelings don't just come from your partner. We're brought up with this idea that love is something you get from another person. It's something you get from your partner. And so you have to have the perfect partner in order to feel the most love. It has to be true love, and then you can feel the most intense love. But your feelings and how much you feel are so much more governed by your fears, by your beliefs, by just things going on in your day than you think. It's not black and white that when you have the perfect partner, you will feel all the love all the time, guaranteed. Feelings don't just come from your partner. You can be in a state of love regardless of what is happening outside of you, regardless of whether you're even in a relationship or not. You can feel intense amounts of love and be overflowing when you're not even in a relationship. So feelings and the intensity of feelings have much less to do with a partner than you may now think. It has so much more to do with your own fears and beliefs, because when you're kind of numb, when you don't feel a lot of things, what that means is that you're suppressing feelings. And there are a million reasons for that. It can come from childhood. It can come from the fact that you were just taught that when you were growing up. But when you're numb and it's hard to feel things, there are other things at play, and it doesn't have to say anything about your relationship or about your partner. And the more you put pressure on your feelings, so you don't think you feel enough, you have this thought, do I love them enough? And immediately you go check your feelings. You check whether you miss them enough. You go through your memories thinking, well, the last time they touched me, did I feel butterflies or not? That is putting pressure on your feelings. They have to be there or else. It's almost like threatening. um, and that is putting pressure on them. And the ironic and it feels unfair thing about that is that you will have less feelings the more pressure you put on them. And I can totally understand why this feels like, oh man, but I want to feel more love so badly. If I would just be in love enough, I would be okay. But there's more at play here, and feeling enough is not the same as having a good relationship. And right now, you may be equating the two. So, feeling good means I have a good relationship. Feeling enough would mean that I made the right choice. But feeling more doesn't automatically mean that this is a good choice or this relationship is a good choice. I remember that when I was in the crush state of the fearful avoidant attachment style, which happened to cause these doubts for me, and for a lot of other people. Feeling more felt like then I would be safe. Like then I would absolutely know for sure that this was the good choice, the right choice. And that was just a belief that I had. If you don't feel enough, this is not the right choice. You have to break up and move on to the next one. And I didn't really want that because my then boyfriend, now husband, was just so kind and so loving and so patient, and it felt good in so many ways. It was just that intensity that I thought it was passion, that I wasn't feeling that, and I was scared that that would mean that I would have to break up. But feeling more intensely doesn't mean that the relationship is better or that it's a good choice. There's actually been quite some research about this around what the secret to a happy, long marriage or relationship is. And it comes down to things like character traits, like kindness and agreeableness, and the ability to regulate emotions. So that's a study done by Antoniak et al. About marital satisfaction, relationship satisfaction, and emotional regulation. So that would even mean that when you feel very, very, very intensely, that is not a predictor for a happy and long relationship. Feelings have been put on a pedestal so much. Like, it feels like when you would have enough feelings, um that's when you know that the relationship is the right one. But feelings are a very fragile foundation to build on, because feelings come and go. They're not black and white, they're not static, they're not continuous all the time. I've interviewed 100 couples happily married over 40 years, and because they were married for so long, when they looked back on their relationship, on their marriage, all of them, all of them have experienced feelings coming and going. And just imagine if they would have said, okay, I love you intensely and that's why I'm with you. And then a few years in, they hit a few bumps in the road, could be in the relationship, could be something else that influences their feelings. And they would have said, oh, now I don't feel enough for you anymore, so I'm gonna go. Bye. They would not have made those 40 years. And what they told me again and again was, yeah, feelings come and go, and it has been gone in our marriage for periods of time. Sometimes a few days, but sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes even years. But feelings follow your choice. So when you choose a partner and really, really go for it and commit, feelings come back. All of those couples went through hard periods, went through periods where they didn't have any feelings, and they came out stronger the other end, and they felt more love the other end. So feelings is not um, the decider. It's not the compass. Like, oh, I don't feel enough, then I have to go. Not feeling enough is like, oh, what's going on? Like, what do I need in order for me to allow my feelings more? Why am I kind of suppressing my feelings? That will give you so much more useful information that you can really use to allow more feelings. So feelings are influenced by a million things. It can be as small as when you're tired and when you've just been overwhelmed with things in life. You're not gonna feel a lot of intense love and desire and pleasure, because your body is more in a state of fight or flight. And it's really hard to feel loving feelings and things like desire and pleasure in a fight or flight state. And yet we kind of expect that from ourselves, and maybe even demand it from ourselves, that we feel that all the time. So feelings is a fragile foundation to build on, but does that mean you will never feel more? I can imagine you now thinking, okay, Pauline, great, but does that mean I just have to settle for this, not feeling anything, feeling numb? Not at all. Love can grow. It's not a static thing. It really can grow. It's not something that you have the most in the beginning and then it just kind of tapers off more and more and more. That's also a very common misconception. Love can grow, being in love can grow, and it has so much more to do with your the fears and beliefs that you have around love, around what you're worth, but also around what it means to have feelings and the meaning you attach to certain feelings. Because the meaning you attach now to not feeling certain things and feeling certain things isn't the truth. It's not that when you don't feel intense passion and love right now, that you don't love them. And you might think that that's what it means. So we all attach meaning to our feelings. And that is based on what we've learned growing up, what we've picked up from our parents, from their marriage, from relationships that we have with our parents or with other people. And the more you change your beliefs, the more you release your fears around actually feeling enough, around connection, around feeling love intensely in a very rich way, not a fear driven way, but a very pure, loving way. We all have negative associations with that. It's not that love is just this positive thing and it's easy to feel it. For a lot of people, if not all, there is negative associations. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you're afraid you're going to be rejected. Maybe you're afraid you're going to be abandoned. And then it doesn't feel safe to actually allow love to be there intensely. Because if you would completely love your partner and everything is right about this relationship, you may be very scared to lose them. Very scared you'll be abandoned or rejected, or you'll just lose them in another way. And so we protect ourselves. And sometimes we protect ourselves by suppressing feelings. So love can absolutely grow in the purely psychological sense that when you heal more of your fears, heal more of your beliefs, heal more of the negative associations around positive feelings, love will be there more and more because it has more space to be there. But it can also grow. As you grow together, as you get to know each other more and more, love grows. In those 100 couples that I've interviewed, there were so many that said, I love my partner now way more than when we just got married or when we just got together. Because that was based on projection. That was based on what I thought it would be, what I thought I could get from them. And now I genuinely just love the person. We've grown together. We have so much shared memory together, shared history together. And they learned so much about love, about themselves, and about each other in that marriage, in that relationship. By the way, I interviewed those couples when I was going through intense doubts and I just had no idea what to believe and what to think. And I just wanted to make sure I made the right choice. And so I started with one couple, and that was absolutely mind blowing and illuminating. And then I thought, I need to interview many more. And so I interviewed 100. I wrote a book about it. It's in Dutch. I'm sorry, I'm from the Netherlands. It's not in English. But that's the reason I interviewed 100 couples. And I've learned so much about feelings and how feelings come and go and how feelings progress through a long relationship and a long marriage. So back to the thought, do I love them enough? And shouldn't I be feeling more? These thoughts are so extremely common. And I want you to know that just because you have the thought doesn't mean it's true. It just doesn't mean it's true. I had both of these thoughts 28,000 times, probably way more. And I've had them in question form. I've had them as a statement. I don't love them. I don't love my boyfriend, now husband, enough. I should be feeling more. And it just wasn't true. It was a fear response. I was so afraid of getting rejected, getting abandoned, not being worthy of this, that I was seeking perfection. And I was seeking perfection and certainty in my feelings. And I believe that if I would just feel more intensely, then I could relax into the relationship. But the fact that I couldn't relax into the relationship had so much more to do with my fears and my beliefs and the negative associations around positive feelings. My body was just not prepared to feel real love, not fear-driven love, but real love, and relaxation and connection. I was so scared of those things because there were so many associations around that if I would relax, I wouldn't pay attention. So something bad would happen. I always had to be on. And I was so afraid of connection because there were a lot of negative associations with that from when I grew up, but I didn't know that back then. And so what my fear brain did, that part of your brain that is trying to protect you, was just suppress the feelings in order to make sure that the abandonment that was inevitable to my fear brain would not hurt so much. I was just protecting myself from future hurt by suppressing my feelings. And these thoughts were just a result of that. They weren't true. Because when I started healing, I loved him more and more. I started feeling that I had loved him from the start, but I was just so scared to allow that and to let that be there. So even though I really wanted to feel it, it didn't feel safe to feel it. And that's what I needed to work on. I wish I knew that then, because it would have saved me so much time in genuinely thinking, should I go? Should I break up? And what I also didn't know back then is that I had the fearful avoidant attachment style. And that is one of the 3 insecure attachment styles. And this is the one that is actually closest related to intense doubts and is most likely to have these thoughts and feelings. And this is not a black and white thing. So you may already know that you have the fearful avoidant attachment style. You may not. And you can have some aspects of it and other aspects not. But it can help to know that this is where it could come from, because then you start to understand yourself better and start to understand better where this comes from, especially when it's a pattern, when you've had this in multiple relationships. So the fearful avoidant attachment style, healing the roots of that, will absolutely also help with this and actually cause you to not have these thoughts and the accompanying fear and anxiety that comes with it, because that is a fear response and we can heal that. You can absolutely heal that. You can release that, so that you can relax and actually enjoy love. That is what we do in my online program, Healed and Happy. We go to the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style and heal it. And it's amazing to see how much more love you can actually feel and how these thoughts just fade away because you don't need them anymore to protect you. I hope this was valuable. Let me know in the comments below. I always want to hear from you, and I'm so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.